Ted Kaczynski was born on May 22, 1942. In 1958, at 16 years old, he was accepted to Harvard on a full scholarship to study mathematics. But by the time Ted turned 36, he's a very different man from the hopeful youth he was at 16. In 1969, Ted left the world of academia for the woods of Montana to live in isolation. In 1978, Kaczynski started a campaign of sending mail bombs to universities, airlines, and academic institutions, which gave him the moniker the Unabomber. But what caused his dramatic shift from a bright young 16-year-old Harvard hopeful to one of the most notorious domestic terrorists in U.S. history? Well, to begin, Ted's childhood wasn't the greatest. He faced verbal and emotional abuse at the hands of both his parents and his peers, the long-lasting effects of which are evident in how Ted developed as a person. In Psychological Abuse, The Impact on Children, the authors talk on the long-lasting effects that stem from the abuse, such as the type Kaczynski went through. To quote, "The hidden scars of this type of abuse manifest in numerous behavioral ways, including withdrawal, which can be seen through Ted's ideation and living in the woods in Montana, difficulty forming relationships, as Kaczynski never had many friends and was bullied and viewed as freakish by his peers, and unstable job histories. Kaczynski never had many stable jobs, and when he was living in Montana, did odd jobs around his community to make money." Additionally, after his eventual arrest in 1996, Kaczynski was psychologically evaluated multiple times and on multiple occasions was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia by multiple doctors. With paranoid schizophrenia, the affected usually have delusions or a delusion that are the foundation for their schizophrenic delusions. Dr. Sally Johnson, who conducted the main evaluation for the Unabomber trial, discusses the two delusions that Kaczynski experienced. In Mr. Kaczynski's case, the symptom presentation involves preoccupation with two principal delusional beliefs. A delusion is defined as a false belief based on incorrect inference about external reality that is firmly sustained despite what almost everyone else believes, and despite what constitutes incontrovertible and obvious proof or evidence to the contrary. Delusional thinking occurs on a continuum, and it is sometimes difficult to differentiate between overvalued ideas or preoccupations and delusional thinking. It is helpful at times to review the belief systems in association with the individual's behavior over time. In Mr. Kaczynski's case, it appears that in the mid to late 1960s, he experienced the onset of delusional thinking involved by being controlled by modern technology. He subsequently developed another strong belief that his dysfunction in life, particularly his inability to establish a relationship with a female, was directly the result of extreme psychological verbal abuse by his parents. These ideas were embraced and embellished, and day-to-day behaviors and observations became incorporated into these ideas, which served to further strengthen Mr. Kaczynski's investment in these beliefs. Preoccupation with these issues has been an ongoing factor in his life. Furthermore, during Mr. Kaczynski's college days, he underwent an experiment at the hands of Henry A. Murray, who described the experiment as a vehement, sweeping, and personally abusive experiment. The experiment aimed to assault a student's ego and his or her most cherished ideas and beliefs, using interrogation techniques to try and break the students from their beliefs. Also at this time was the first time Kaczynski started to dream of living a secluded life in the woods. The ideation of secluded living was most likely only enhanced by the trauma Kaczynski experienced at the hands of Henry A. Murray's experiments. Along with the ideation, the trauma most likely induced a distrust and hatred for academia and society in large. Personally, I believe that the abuse and trauma Kaczynski faced, coupled with how this affected his paranoid schizophrenia, drove him to do the horrible actions he's infamous for today. Thank you.